They're well bolstered, they hold you in position during more spiritual driving, and from a 2020 perspective, the cabin has aged really nicely. Now, when the public first saw this car just before the new millennium, the biggest shock was that the engine was going to be water-cooled. So the 3.6 twin turbo was replacing the air-cooled lump that the enthusiasts loved so much, and still to this day some people don't see this as a true thoroughbred 911 due to the intercooled engine. The power delivery, however, on some of these smaller roads is absolutely sensational. The intercooled lump at the back, which produces 420 brake horsepower, really is no slouch at all. You'd have to be driving something pretty quick regularly to jump inside one of these and find it tame. Even kind of progressing through the throttle in fourth gear is still very responsive. Some people talk a little bit about turbo lag, but I'm not experiencing it much at all. There's a little bit of sort of dead travel within the accelerator pedal just in the first kind of 1 or 2 centimeters. However, I am coming from a throttle by cable naturally aspirated V8, and which revs like a motorbike. Obviously, for me to jump into something like this, it is going to feel a little bit kind of numbed, but overall the driving experience is absolutely sensational. Now, the rear spoiler has hydraulically actuated pistons which raise up automatically circa 70 miles per hour. However, you can get oil leaks on those, so during any inspection for a potential purchase, it's always best to check that they are operating well. If one side is suffering from a leak, you'll often get an electronic warning come up on the dash at 70 miles per hour when it should come up. It will still elevate, however one side is basically pulling a little bit quicker than the other, so it's just something to look out for that I've heard from other owners. Now, as I'm making pleasant progress through this lovely Suffolk village, the turbo was available in a cabriolet and a hardtop. The two biggest options you're looking out for is, do you want to go for the 6-speed automatic or the 5-speed manual? The example that I'm driving today is the automatic. You have got manual override, you can control the way that the car goes through the gears, but Porsche decided not to go with a flappy paddle gearbox. Instead, you've got wheel mounted buttons. You've got plus and minus to go up and down on both sides, and you can use either side. That is going to come down to your preference with how engaging you find it. Jumping in it today, I have found it intuitive. Gear speed change is pretty good, but the actual sort of bit that I'm touching is kind of leaving a little bit to be desired. I would have liked the flappy paddle gearbox, but for whatever reason Porsche decided not to go for it. In terms of exhaust noise, obviously you could go for a modified exhaust. From factory, the cars are fairly quiet, and that's one thing that some test drivers complain about. Blistering performance, but then all a little bit muted and not giving that kind of sensory indulgence from the rear end. Now, just making very relaxed progress through this quaint town. The car's very happy at low speed. It does hold on to second gear a little bit longer than I would like, but in terms of town driving, it's really quite comfortable in terms of ride, and makes for relaxed driving if this is something you could potentially be driving to work. Now, luggage space is about what you'd expect for a car like this. If you were going away for 5-7 days with two of you, you may need to think about packing conservatively, thinking, do you need that extra pair of pants? Now, just getting onto some of these smaller back roads, now we're at the 30, progressing through the gears, the shift is really quite quick, especially considering the age of the car. During more progressive driving, I am just beginning to come aware of a little bit of body roll coming into play, but then I'm glancing down at the speedo and actually realising how much speed I'm carrying in and out the corner. With the automatic, you can select manual mode by bringing the gear shifter to the left, and then you've got control, as I mentioned earlier, with the buttons on the side. So you do get a really nice sort of whoosh and progressive turbo noise from the car. But just a slightly muted exhaust. Styling is, I just think, absolutely beautiful. This generation of Porsche were groundbreaking for mechanical and cosmetic reasons. We've got functional intakes on the side. They don't actually feed the rear brake calipers, they feed the intercooler fan and also the air intake for the engine at the back. Now, if you are thinking about picking up one of the 5-speed manuals for that more engaging driving experience, do of course check service history, but inquire whether the synchro mesh has been refurbished. It might run up quite high labour costs, but this is something that can go on the 5-speed manuals if it's being driven harder. Now, that 420 brake horsepower, which equates to about 0-60 in 4 seconds, is delivered to the road through all 4 wheels. Now, the all-wheel drive system is as I expected. I have stuck to the road, but I've not really had opportunity to really push it. It is kind of a damp winter day, and it's been really confidence inspiring, but you'd have to take it on track to really put it through its paces, so I'm not going to claim that I've really tested that. It is as you'd expect from an all-wheel drive system from Porsche. Now, I said at the start of the video that the interior has aged really well. The cabin's a really nice place to be. I think the cream and the kind of light grey leather seats don't age as well as the black seats do, but of course these things aren't actually that difficult to repair. Same with paint. Paint seems actually really good on these cars. It was obviously a period of time where Porsche were putting a little bit of money into their paint shop. However, you can can get a few kind of stone chips that if you get water ingress they will start to bubble, so just look out for things like that, but that's common amongst all cars. Don't be afraid if the car has had a little bit of paint work. That's not something to turn your nose up at. If they've gone to a good body shop, then the paint finish might well be better than it came out from the factory. So just because it's not original paint doesn't mean it's reason to walk away from a otherwise mechanically sound car. One thing I absolutely love is the way that you can see the wider body and the air intakes at the back in your wing mirrors as you are driving along, and it reminds you that you're in something really special even when you're not doing breakneck speeds. They do not suffer from the bore score that you may have heard about that the non-turboed editions suffer from. These are actually based on the 1998 Le Mans winning GT2 car, and by all accounts are very reliable. The 996 comes with heated seats, lovely leather door cards. Headlining is a really gorgeous Alcantara-like material, all in black. No glove box, peculiarly. They did integrate a glove box in the later models, but not the earlier cars. However, there are sort of little hidden storage compartments around for you to make do with. Overall, room for you and your passenger is really nice, and you can fit a fully grown adult in the back for kind of, you know, maybe a half an hour run would be absolutely fine. Trip down to the pub with your friends. Longer journeys would be okay with children, but with 4 adults that would be a bit of a push to describe it as roomy. A lot of owners like to upgrade the integrated radio and sat-nav, as in 2020 these are slightly dated. It's just going to come down to your personal preference and whether you or someone that you're going to sell the car onto in the future will want that radio as a sort of a purist owner. Huge thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoyed a quick look at the 996 Turbo. Please check out our other videos, subscribe, and we will see you next time.